Hello there. We'll see how this works out today. It's been a while since I've been live, but today I was really motivated to want to do this. I'm not sure how long this will work because my allergies hit me last week, and there have been points in time in which my voice sounds sort of like gravel, but that's beside the point. We'll just see whether this works or not. To be perfectly honest, to be totally honest, I really don't know what I'm saying, except I want to just talk about these two quotes today because of this particular time of year. So hopefully the feeling and the thoughts that I've got behind this is going to come across and you'll understand my point. At least that's my thoughts. And I hope my voice holds out. So we'll just see what happens here. This is going to be one of my two-for days with two quotes. Um, the first one is something really short and simple. Behind the mountains, there are more mountains. Now, I've seen this attributed to several people, but the most consistent thing I've seen is that it's a Haitian proverb. So take your pick. I don't think it really matters who said it. It sounds more like a proverb of some sort, but that's beside the point. The second, well, let me talk about that one first before I get into the second quote. Behind the mountains, there are more mountains. As I said in the beginning of this, it's like your to-do list is never going to end. And I'm thinking about that is we're coming to the end of this particular year, at least as I'm recording this. And many of you are thinking in terms of the new year, and many of you are thinking in terms of what you didn't do this past year. And you're kind of thinking in terms of, oh, I've got all of these things I wanted to do and I didn't get any of this done. Or maybe you thought about the things you wanted to do during the holidays. I know for me, I was thinking during the holiday break, I wanted to do all of these things. None of them happened. Most of them didn't happen primarily because I got sick, but that's beside the point. But that's also another issue that comes into it. We've got this long list of things we intend to do. But, if you stop to think about it, we keep looking to finish that list, cross them all off, except somewhere in the back of our minds, we forget the fact that there's always going to be something else on the list. Do you really, really, really seriously expect that you will ever get to the point that you will cross everything off on the to-do list and there'll be nothing else left to do? When I really stopped to think about this, it was sort of like, that's a silly thought because something's always going to be on the list, no matter what happens, unless you sort of like drop dead right then and there. I mean, if you can't do anything else on the to-do list, it's pretty much, can you do anything else? So if you really stop to think about it, we keep looking for this opportunity to cross everything off on our to-do list, but we never really stop to think about the fact that that's impossible. It cannot be done. There's always going to be another mountain behind the one. Yeah, okay, some of you are going to say, well, yeah, you can get down to mountains and then you have, yeah, okay, I get that. But go with the concept that with your to-do list, you're always going to have something else to do. So that when you've got this idea and that you need to finish your to-do list and you're getting upset with yourself because you didn't get everything done, you can't, because there's always going to be something else there to do. So if you start looking in terms of the idea that you've got as much as you can do, you're going to do, and that's about as far as it goes, it might take off some of the stress and the anxiety that goes along with the idea of looking at your to-do list. Think in terms of the things that you need to do, so to speak, or you want to do, and just recognize the fact that you're not going to get through everything. Now, with that in mind, the second quote, remember how far you've come, not just how far you have to go. You are not where you were. You are, start that one again. Remember how far you've come, not just how far you have to go. You are not where you used to be. Okay? Think about this. In other words, when you're looking at those mountains ahead of you on that to-do list, turn around. Take a look at how far you've come. Look at the mountains you've already crossed. Maybe the valleys that you've already walked through. So it's this time of year when you're thinking in terms of, oh, gee, I've got so much that I wanted to do in 2024 and it didn't get done. Stop to take a moment to think in terms of how much you did get done. Give yourself credit for getting some of those things done. Don't berate yourself for the things you haven't done because you've accomplished a whole lot more than you probably thought you could have a year ago. So there's some things you probably accomplished in the past year that you didn't even think you could do or didn't even know that was going to be on your to-do list. I, for example, didn't expect to have to go through the hurricanes, get evacuated, and a few other little details like that. So there are a lot of things that I've been through this past year that I had no idea were going to happen to me, even 6 months ago. Same thing happens to you. So if you're looking at this point in the year, again, as I said, this is just before the New Year's when I'm recording this, and you're getting ready to think in terms of the new year, think in terms of what you'd like to do, but also give yourself some credit for recognizing what you have done and be more realistic with yourself about those things that you can do. And maybe give yourself some grace and maybe actually, heaven forbid, make a shorter to-do list of those things that you actually could accomplish and not just put things on the list just because it's now on the list, because you're never going to get it done anyway. Well, you're never going to get the whole list done anyway. You will get certain things done. You won't get the whole list done. But isn't it about time you started to take a look at what's on that list and decide what you wanted to get done or what you needed to get done? Maybe the emphasis on what you want to get done. Because if certain things don't get done, there's always going to be another mountain. There's always going to be another day. It's kind of like washing dishes or, keeping house. If you don't dust today, you're still going to have to dust tomorrow or next week. So will it really matter if you didn't dust today? You might have more tomorrow, granted, but you're still going to have to do the same thing tomorrow anyway. So in other words, I'd just like to take a few moments here to suggest that you think in terms of, at this point in time, not what you didn't accomplish this past year, but look at what you did accomplish. Pat yourself back on the back for those and give yourself some credit for going forward into this new year, looking at things that you want to accomplish and contemplating where you might be a year from now and what you would like to have had done. Don't look at the to-do list per se. Just what are the things that you would like to do? And then maybe you could start planning your new year around what you'd like to accomplish. Maybe you want to learn a new language. Maybe you want to start school. Maybe you want to get a different job. Start thinking in terms of those things and maybe make your to-do list to go in those particular directions, not just because it's something that's on your list that somebody thought it needed to be done, because it's not going to get done anyway. You can't argue with me on that point, because there is absolutely no way you're going to get everything done on your to-do list unless you've got a really short to-do list and you're ignoring a whole bunch of other stuff. Okay, now there's probably going to be one of you that's going to argue with me because you created just like 3-item to-do list. Okay, but you understand where I'm coming from, right? Besides which, if you just created a 3-item to-do list, you're probably not the person I'm talking to anyway. Okay. Now, I hope this makes sense, and I hope it gave you something to think about. But just think about it and see what happens. And if that approach makes it easier for you to go into this new year, and if you're going to start looking at New Year's resolutions, think in terms of what would you like to do that you think you can, and create a way around actually doing that instead of just saying, gee, I'd like to lose 50 pounds or whatever, even though 3 seconds from now you know that you're not going to accomplish it. Think in terms about doing something that you'd like to, that you might actually work at doing. It might change the whole way you approach the new year and your resolutions list, right? Besides, I'm trying to work on doing something to help you guys do that. So let me know if you'd really like me to work on, because I've got the idea of doing a challenge actually in the new year to help you guys get started on something like that. That's assuming, of course, that I can think and breathe beyond this point, but we'll see what happens. So let me know if this was helpful. Let me know if it gave you an idea to think about. And I wish you all a really good new year, and hopefully it all started on a great note and with good weather and no bad weather or anything else like that. And hopefully everybody stays healthy and happy. So we'll see you next year. Adios. Valerie out. That wasn't